Thanks, machine.
Good morning, everyone. Today's talk is titled Push by Pain. Excuse me, I need to change my view here. Push by Pain, Pulled by Vision. And I found a short reading by Marianne Williamson from A Turn to Love. And it's a very short reading. It's only one sentence long. So it won't take long. You can concentrate on it. And I will read it twice because it is so short. So right now, I just invite you to settle in, knowing that the service is going to be unfolding in its right and perfect way. But right now, we are going to breathe into our center. We're going to settle into the knowing that we know. We know our truth, we know our strength and our wisdom, and we are a light to the world. It takes courage to endure the sharp pains of self-discovery rather than choose the dull pain of unconsciousness. Again, it takes courage to endure the sharp pains of self-discovery rather than choose the dull pain of unconsciousness.
I am a center of creation. I am a seed planted in the stillness. I am a center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God.
And yes, we are fertile grounds for the creation of our lives, for our spirits, our hopes, our dreams. With faith, we step out, knowing the truth of who and what we are. And we face this with courage, with knowing that we are not alone. We come together not only as spirit, with spirit, but as a community. We get the support, the love, the honesty, and the non-judgmental thoughts of our tribe. We come together to celebrate this unity, the support, the loving and the caring. We come together to be supported in uncovering our true nature, our true being. And so I know that today's gathering will give to each one of us a kernel of truth from a song, from a word, from a thought, from a quote, just from being here, heart to heart, mind to mind. And so I simply let it be in its perfect way. And so it is.
I am a center of creation. I am a tree rooted in the fullness. I am a center of creation, fertile ground for the highest thoughts of God.
Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you, Jackson and Susan. I hadn't heard that one before, Jackson. That beautiful words to that one. That's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So our talk this morning is pushed by pain, pulled by vision. And, Carl Jung said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And, religious science or the science mind is all about looking inside. And the one thing I remind students as they move along their path is that this looking inside never ends. It's going to happen. I mean, I've been a minister for 35 years now. And before that, I was taking classes, etc. So I've been in this teaching for a long time. And still, I find places in myself where I have to be introspective, where I have to look and see, what is that? What's in my consciousness that attracted this experience to me? When we think about this idea of the soul's call, we have to remember that the soul's call is deeply intimate, and it's challenging, and it's exponentially powerful, and it's globally beneficial work. I think I talk about this in every on every Sunday morning and in every class that everything we do for ourselves is lifting up the consciousness of humanity. And if you watch the news, you realize, wow, the consciousness definitely has to be lifted up. So, talking about watching the news, talking about the past 15 months or whatever it's been, it seems like there's a lot of pain. A lot of pain going on in our world. You see it with all the violence that's happening around. You see it, and it's not just in the United States, it's all over the world. You see it in the people that have lost family and friends because of COVID. You see it probably in each one of us as we wonder, what is life going to be like after this past year of being sent to our rooms, so to speak? So part of me is the kind of person that wants to always think positively. I mean, my nickname or my middle name, whatever, seems to be Pollyanna. If you know the story about Pollyanna, that everybody. Judy, can you mute? Okay, good. Pollyanna goes into a town. She's sent to her aunt's house, and she ends up changing this whole town by a game that her father taught her called the Glad Game. And so for me, I read that book when I was very, very, very young, and I think I swallowed it whole. I swallowed the message, because this is how I work my life. And yet I know that Dr. Holmes says in the textbook, I believe everything is as real as it's supposed to be. If a person hurts, he hurts. There's no use denying it. So what if we didn't deny or avoid the pains that we've gone through over the past year and a half almost? But what if we embraced it as an invitation to higher consciousness? Pushed by pain, pulled by a vision. So he says, there is this question. Dr. Holmes reminds us. Wait just a minute. There is this question, however, which naturally rises. Why all the suffering, sorrow, and pain? Why has tragedy accompanied the journey of humanity? There's no other way through which true individuality can evolve. Humanity must be left alone to discover themselves, else be compelled arbitrarily to follow one road, in which case they would be an automaton and not an individual. And we've probably, if you're as into this teaching as I am, you've probably asked yourself over and over again, why did we create this? This whole experience, why did we bring it to us? Not create it, but attract it, rather. Why did we attract it? Why did we attract the specific way we experienced it? Why is the world still experiencing it in so many different ways? And maybe it's so that we'd move forward. Maybe we got too complacent. I don't know. But he also says, when our life is not working the way we would like, pain invites us to revisit our purpose and consciously redirect our path. So I want to really remind ourselves that we need to feel the pain. I recognized just recently that there's a part of me that is so interested in rising above it all the time that I sometimes do not allow myself to feel it. And that means if I'm not feeling it, it's being shoved down inside of me, and one of these days it's going to erupt, and whoever I'm with is going to experience that eruption as well as myself. So, all of our emotions have to be felt. all of our emotions have to be gone through. And as we go through them, we release them. And then that allows us to feel what we really want to feel, which is, the more positive side of things. So we want to revisit our purpose and consciously redirect our path. This is what all of this pain is leading us to. He also says we must transcend the appearance even though we admit it as fact. We're not so cold-blooded as to say to a person with pain that there is no such thing as pain. That's not our idea or purpose. We must admit it. Admit the fact. It's quite a different thing to admit its necessity. When I read that earlier this week, that it's quite a different thing to admit its necessity, I realized that this is part of that introspective action that we need to take as we move forward in our lives. And so I have some ideas about pain. Pain is the perfect fertilizer. I mean, that just, looking at that made me laugh. So our lives go through seasons just like a garden. I've been playing a lot in my garden with the roses, etc. And, when I think about them, I think that pain is like the fertilizer that I use to prepare my rose bushes, or that I give my cherry tree to grow, or that I put on the grass to make it grow. And so we have to ask ourselves, how is our pain providing an essential ingredient required for our development? And what is the pain urging us to release? What is the pain urging us to enhance? If we look at the things that we go through that are painful as the perfect fertilizer, then we'll start being able to move through those experiences easier, and think of them perhaps as the fertilizer that's preparing the soul of our life to represent our deepest soul purpose. Preparing the soil to enhance our deepest soul purpose. My second one is pain is not a punishment. Most of you, or some of you might know that 2 days after I got my brand new beautiful car, I got in a car accident. It wasn't my fault, but it really shocked me. I mean, I just couldn't believe that it even happened. And I went through all kinds of emotions around it. Because some of you know that I wanted a hybrid car, and instead of just getting, I could have gotten a white one, let's just put it that way, when my lease first ended. But I decided to extend my lease a little bit because I wanted the color blue that I got. And so I started, after that accident, I had a dream one night that I got in 3 accidents, and that I woke up thinking, oh my God, this better not be signs or symbols that this car is just going to keep being weird for me, that give me a lot of trouble or something. Maybe I shouldn't have got it. Maybe I shouldn't have put myself out there to get what I wanted to get. And I think I've talked to you about this before. However, I had to look and realize that pain is not punishment. I saw what I was doing was punishing myself for going for what I wanted. And I wonder how many other people do that as well. Probably everybody. at one point in their lives. You want a certain job, or you want a certain way of life, or whatever it might be. And you find yourself doing things that prevent yourself from getting it. You find yourself sabotaging yourself in a way. So what I had to do was stop thinking that I had done something wrong. And as long as I thought I was doing something wrong, that I wasn't in alignment with the universe. I wasn't in alignment with my highest and best good. And so I had to recognize as I was going through this, you wouldn't believe how many pages I've written in my journal the last week and a half. I had to recognize how the painful experience of this car accident, which wasn't physically painful, it was only mentally and emotionally painful. I had to recognize how it was helping me move away from something that was out of alignment with my heart's deepest desires. I had a phone call with a friend of mine that I talked to probably once a week, that I've known since I was 17, and we were in a foster home together. And she said in a weird voice, she said to me, "Well, you always have to have the best." And I think that night is the night that I had the weird dream, and that I felt like I was punishing myself for getting what I wanted. And so I had to, in my journal and everything, I had to identify how that pain was pushing me toward what I really want. It was pushing me toward getting rid of any barriers to my life. And so think about this for yourself. Where have you felt like you were being punished? Now, we know that God doesn't punish us. It's not God's will for us to be punished. It's all mental. It's all in our own minds. And it's in our own minds that we have to heal it. So that gets to the third idea, is let pain be the pathway. So instead of letting pain stop us from doing those things that we want to do, it's important to acknowledge the pain, as I said before, but not to let it stop us from moving toward a brighter future or a better life. So we want to replace the consciousness that delivered the pain with a renewed commitment to living your best life ever. And here's the key thing. You choose the qualities of God that have been missing in your life. Increase your spiritual practices. And you'll notice that as you shed the old ways, your faith deepens. And you begin manifesting the life that your heart desires. So let's say that the journey through pain is your pathway to joy. Now, I'm not saying go out and create some pain so that you can feel some more joy, but let yourself go deep down within you and see what feelings have you been pushing down inside your subjective mind. What have you been refusing to deal with? As we open that up and let ourselves deal with what we have not allowed ourselves to deal with, that then becomes the pathway to joy. Dr. Holmes says every problem is primarily mental, and the answers to our problems will be found in spiritual realizations. That's the one thing about this faith tradition that I absolutely love. We're not asked to just adopt a creed, you might say. We're not asked to do things exactly the way the church wants us to do them. We're not asked to say our prayers, use the same prayers all the time. Ones that are given to us, like when I was in the Catholic Church, living at a Catholic school. we're asked to open ourselves up to greater spiritual realizations all the time. That's what the science of mind is really about. Dr. Holmes said in one of the writings that, I don't remember right now who wrote it, but he had been living with Dr. Holmes after Dr. Holmes' wife Hazel died. And he said that Ernest Holmes said that if he could do it all over again, from the very beginning, he would have called it the science of mind and the spirituality of love. The spirituality of the heart. Those two things have to work together. And as they work together, we have more, often, and deeper spiritual realizations in our lives. I wanted to talk to you for a minute about some of the things that the basic teachings of our faith tradition. One of them is life is ever evolving. There's nothing that is going to stay the same. Nothing. And Dr. Holmes says, in truth, there's never been a mistake made. That all those problems basically were leading to new realizations. And he calls that the law of growth. He also talks about principle is not bound by precedent. So just because something has always been a certain way doesn't mean it's going to be a certain way now. We can change it. Our teaching tells us that everything is good, or it's leading to our good. And in our Declaration of Principles, it says, we believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And there's the key. Become conscious of it. And we can't become conscious of it if we're allowing ourselves to be pushed by pain. We want to be pulled by a vision. And we also believe, one of the primary things this also is in the Declaration of Principles, that we believe in the healing of the sick and the control of conditions through the power of mind. So we have, he says here, we have within us a power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us free. We can set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and a new life. And this is what we want to do. We want to let go of all of that is still causing us any pain in any way whatsoever. And ask this pain, what is the message for me? And then honor that message and move out into a greater vision and let ourselves be pulled forward by that greater vision. Dr. Holmes says we should believe that God is the invisible partner in our lives and affirm that divine love goes before us and prepares the way. One of the reasons we don't look at what has hurt us is that we're afraid of feeling it again and again and again. But if we really believe not only that God is the invisible partner, but that God is our life, and affirm that divine love goes before us and prepares the way, then we can breathe deeply and realize none of this stuff has to be done all by ourselves. It seems like we do. I mean, in essence, we do, because it's all happening in our heads. But we have a community that surrounds us with love. We have a teaching, a larger teaching that goes around the world and surrounds us with love. So let the universe be your invisible partner. I mean, it is anyway, because this is who you are. You are the unique, individualized expression of God right now. And probably part of the reason we don't realize that to the extent that we could is because we've been harboring our pain. So let that divine love go before you and prepare the way. And what I know for us that is that as we do this work, and I'm sorry, but the work is going to be there all the time, and yet we come out of it feeling freer, knowing this, that as Jesus said, he said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And so I'm looking forward to a time when I can look at myself in the mirror and go, hi, God, and really believe it. Or I could look at you in the face. I basically can do that. Look at you, deep into your eyes and recognize God. Everybody is God. And so let's say this affirmation. That Pamela wrote our affirmations this month. So let's say it together. By centering myself in spirit during times of pain or difficulty, I find comfort. My connection with spirit is the salve for all negative experiences and leads me to solace and serenity. Peace abounds. And let's go into prayer. I recognize that there is only the one life. That life is God's life. That life is absolutely perfect. And that life is the life that we are living right now. I know that in this one life, we have all the tools necessary to remove any of the old stuff we've been carrying around with us, the emotional baggage. And we let ourselves just let it go and be more open, more willing to be receptive to that great love that the universe is. The universe is constantly showing us love notes, constantly saying to us, you are my beloved in whom I am well pleased. And so I declare for each one of us that we see that this is the truth. We are the beloved. There is nothing we ever did in the past that can change this. There is nothing that we ever experienced in the past that can change this. So I know we're willing to do the work, to let go and let God live in, through, and as us from this point on. And I know that we begin to feel all the attributes that we've given to God. We begin to feel life, and life becomes brighter and clearer and more beautiful. We begin to feel joy, which Teilhard de Chardin says is the infallible sign of the presence of God. We begin to feel at peace with absolutely everything. We begin to feel the power within us and know that as we declare a thing, that it becomes so. That we attract, we set the law of attraction in action. And we attract those things that we desire, that not only empower us, but empower humanity. And we feel the love. We feel the love that God is, that we really are. We feel it. We feel that we're the beloved, and we feel that we're the lover. And it's so much easier to love life, love everyone, love everything. So I know that each one of us is on a path, a glorious path called life, and that we're allowing ourselves to do the work that is necessary to make this path even more bright, even more lovely, even more fun. And I know that as we do this work, We're so grateful. So grateful to this one life that we're living, that is the divine life, for opening us up and allowing us to, rather than be pushed by pain, to be pulled by a vision. And this vision, at our heart of hearts, is knowing the oneness. There is only one life. That life is God's life. And that life is the life we are living. We are God in form. And we're so grateful for this. So I release these words knowing that each one of us found something in this morning's service to enhance our spiritual journey called life. And we're grateful for that. It's all good. It's all God. And so it is.